Introduce to you Adele Morissette. Those of you who were here last year met her then, and we're so happy to welcome her back today. Adele was married to Mike Wargo, who is someone who will always be near and dear to our hearts, and so she is now part of our family. And we are so very happy that she's come back today to make the presentation to the Michael J. Wargo Award winner for 2015 for Survey. Thank you very much, Adele.
Thanks, Yvonne. Well, Carly is a really hard act to follow, I have to say, but I'm so pleased to be back here to your Exploration Science Forum, and really especially delighted to be here on the heels of all the fabulous news about Pluto. I'm a non-science person and an East Coaster, and I have been so delighted. Kenneth Chang did a front page article in the New York Times with pictures, and what I thought was more even important was his article detailed at length all of the battles that Dr. Stern went through to get the funding to continue this mission. And I have to say, in the heart of Silicon Valley, where I spend a lot of my time in business, there is no achievement in Silicon Valley that tops what this Pluto mission has done for the world. So congratulations, NASA. I'm so pleased to be here today to present this award, which honors my late husband, Michael J. Wargo, who I know with all of you led many battles for resources to continue many good, interesting, and wonderful scientific missions. So the Michael J. Wargo Award is an annual award given to a scientist or engineer who has significantly contributed to the integration of the exploration and planetary science community throughout their career. Those of you who knew my husband know how dedicated he was to the scientific community and what a great ambassador he was for the scientific community in NASA as a whole. It is my pleasure to present the 2015 Michael J. Wargo Award to Dr. Clive R. Neal. Dr. Neal is a professor at the University of Notre Dame who has published numerous peer-reviewed publications and significant reports regarding his lunar research. He was also involved in publishing the 2006 New Views of the Moon book that was published by the Mineralogical Society of America as part of their reviews in Mineralogy and Geochemistry series. He grew up and was educated in the United Kingdom, receiving his BS in geology from the University of Leicester in the UK, and his PhD from the University of Leeds, also in the UK. He moved to the United States in 1986, where he spent 4 years as a postdoc research fellow at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. While there, he studied mantle petrology and was introduced to the study of Apollo moon rocks. He was hired at the University of Notre Dame in 1990 and has been there ever since. Clive has been involved in the study of the moon since 1986. His research into the origin and evolution of the moon focuses on the petrology and geochemistry of returned samples coupled with geophysics and other remotely sensed data sets. He has also served on mission and research review panels, including being the chair of the Lunar Sample Allocation Subcommittee for CAPTEM 2005 through 2009, and is the current chair of NASA's Lunar Exploration Analysis Group, a group that he also chaired from 2006 to 2010. He is passionate about NASA and in returning humans to the moon and beyond. Current research areas include the origin and evolution of the moon, geophysical instrumentation and investigations of the moon, formation of impact melts, and is actively one of the most vocal researchers on the importance and exploration of the lunar surface and beyond, a topic of interest that he and Michael shared passionately. It is my pleasure, come on up, to present the Michael J. Wargo Award to Dr. Clive Neal. Thank you. you the award. Want to open it up for the picture? Let me put this down. This is going to be memorialized. We got to make this right. Good, good. And we're all color coordinated too.
I don't have khaki on, so.
With your eyes open.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I can. Oh, that's pretty heavy.
It's heavy.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank
Adele.
you.
Well, when I was told that I'd received this award, I think the word is shocked. There are many more qualified people than I to do this. And I do also want to point out that New Views of the Moon, there were 3 other co-editors on that did probably more than I did, one of whom is sitting at the back checking his email. Good old Chip Shearer. But it's an honor to be here, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that bloke sitting down there, Larry Taylor, who called me up at 11 p.m. England time and interviewed me over the phone. I was very relaxed. I just got back from the pub, and somehow managed to get through that and got hired at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, for a 2-year postdoc. And I thought, 2 years in America, that'll be fun. Well, here we are, almost 30 years later, and now I am an American citizen with an Indiana accent. So Mike was my big brother, as I like to refer to him. When I first became chair of League in 2006, Mike was my guide through the quagmire of NASA politics. I don't do politics. I'm not very good at it, and I'll prove that in this presentation. So it's a real honor to be the recipient of the Wargo Award here at this forum. Mike was a good mate. He was a good friend, and he did look after me. He made sure I didn't screw up too badly, and didn't upset too many people, especially at headquarters. So I want to do a somewhat different tack. I don't do poetry, you'll be relieved to know. And I am flying under the radar because I do have a tie on today, and I only have khaki underwear. So I wanted to dedicate this to the memory and legacy of Big Mike, because I think what he wanted to embellish on all of us was this little phrase here. You know, science enables exploration, and exploration enables science. If you don't have exploration, you really don't have much science, planetary science, to do. So we all sit here as scientists, or most of us are scientists, and we feed off exploration. But then it becomes almost a closed loop, because then exploration feeds off science. Because what we find from the scientific analysis of exploration data then leads to more exploration, so on and so forth. And I'm not just talking about the moon. We have the first Mars human landing workshop coming up, landing site workshop coming up, and that comes from a lot of exploration and the science that's come out of that exploration. And this is something that Big Mike would be smiling about, I believe. And the other thing that Mike and I clicked is that in a previous life we were in the same profession. Before I came to America, I was an amateur bouncer, I suppose, as was Mike, and we shared many a story about our exploits and experiences of that over the occasional non-alcoholic beverage. So, as I say, I don't do politics, so I'm probably going to upset some people, but I'm just trying to present the facts here. This is our current space policy, as given by President Obama on April 15th, 2010 at Kennedy Space Center. He committed to abandoning the moon, and he used, well, we've been there, Buzz has been there. So the idea that been there, done that means the moon is dead, boring, we don't need to go back because we've already done it. He also pledged to increasing NASA funding by $6 billion over 5 years, and then the new heavy launch vehicle design being completed by this year. And then predicting that there would be a crewed orbital mission of Mars, and that's not CRUDE. And then by the mid-2030s, and then, we would have a precursor, let's go send humans to an asteroid. So, did a bit of digging. These are the NASA budgets since 2010, and you can see the differential is minus $714 million. So, the conclusion that I make is that NASA doesn't have the budget to actually achieve this this current space policy. So we get that jaded feeling a little bit in terms of human spaceflight. We can't get to space station. We can't get beyond low Earth orbit, and we can't get to space station without help from a friend, inverted commas. So we get jaded. What's the point? Why are we doing this? Well, there's hope. I've done politics now, I'm moving on. We got hope. There are international efforts. The International Space Exploration Coordination Group, where you have 14 space agencies wanting to get into space. None of them can do it on their own, so there's a collective. And there's this global exploration roadmap. And it is multiple destinations. And it's sort of weird because we're used to having a destination, that's where we're going. And when President Bush was here, we're going to the moon. Eventually we're going to go to Mars, but we're going to the moon. Let's go have fun on the moon. But as I say, that's changed. But now with this global exploration roadmap, the moon is back there. Cislunar space and deep space and asteroids are in there. But the horizon goal, what we're aiming for, is to get people out to Mars, which is great. That is the goal. But we have this mindset, as I said, that it's an either-or situation. We go to the moon, we won't go to Mars because we'll get stuck on the moon. We go to asteroids, we'll get stuck, well, we'll probably float off an asteroid, but we'll get stuck going to asteroids and we won't go to the moon or Mars. But that's the wrong mindset, so we need to change that. And this is some sort of, I put the question mark in parentheses there. We've got to build capability. We've got to build it so that progress can be made no matter what the budget. We really don't have destination dates. You put a date on it, the budget never meets that, and then you fail. So you set yourself up for failure, so we go for destination targets, and we can show a progression of capabilities regarding sending humans out from Earth. And we need to have our goals well set, and we need to be goal-oriented rather than date-oriented. So, the current US focus is we're sending the humans to explore an asteroid or boulder from an asteroid. But if we look at the international partners, they're focused on the moon. But both have this horizon destination, which is let's get to Mars. And the reason why US focus is on asteroids is the low gravity well. Moon has a slightly deeper one, and then the Earth is pretty huge, as we're probably all aware of the cost of getting things off this planet. But we do need to base to stage these capabilities and to develop these capabilities. And again, showing the Earth and Moon here, we have this deep gravity well, which becomes cost prohibitive. So we need to think outside. So I put the moon there. Well, what about cislunar space? And Paul Sputus last year started talking about cislunar space at this very forum, and I'll be showing something from that he and Tony Lavoie have developed with regard to developing cislunar space based upon not resources from Earth, but resources from the moon. This is all exploration stuff, people, but just think of the science that goes along with that. So keep that in the back of your mind as we go through this. So we can use the moon to enable solar system exploration and science. And the moon, this been there, done that mentality, this negativity actually becomes a very positive advantage, because we've explored the moon and we know from our scientific analysis there are potential resources there that can be used to fuel solar system exploration, that can be used to fuel the development of cislunar space, that can be used to bring the moon into our economic sphere of influence. And that is something that, go to Congress, jobs, high-tech jobs. You want to inspire the young, the youth, which includes me. High-paying jobs. You're going to be developing the next outpost. You're going to be developing the first step of humans going out into the solar system. So what about lessons from Apollo? We've been there, done that, remember? Science was an afterthought. There was no long-term goal. And quite frankly, we shouldn't repeat Apollo. Apollo was not sustainable, but just look what we learned. Those samples that came back, it wasn't until 2008 that we had the capabilities to analyze those samples and find that the moon contained water in the interior and other volatiles, not just water. So preserving the sample return is the gift that keeps on giving, and you've heard that cliche many times, but it's a fantastic return on investment. We're still learning from Apollo samples. And again, I've given a list here of the things that we learned about seismicity and something close to my heart, impacts, cratering. What about terrestrial planet evolution? This is the M member in terrestrial planet evolution. We've learned so much from Apollo, that exploration, that sortie type program, that science was an afterthought. But we're still doing science. We're still doing science. And those people that weren't even a twinkle in their daddy's eye when Apollo was going on are using the samples and the data from Apollo that has now been, subsequent missions have now supplemented that first real step. And we see the blurring of science and exploration. They're the same thing. They end up being the same thing. If we look at the missions that went to the moon subsequent in the 1990s, Clementine and Prospector, we found that there was a hint of polar hydrogen deposits. We had global maps, surface maps. We had much more, Crypto Mari, many other discoveries. In the 2000s, the international interest really started to take off with ESA, China, India, Japan, and of course the US, all involved in scientific exploration of the moon. We say scientific exploration because essentially that's what it did, but we focus on, and this is something that Mike was very proud of, was LRO. It started off being an exploration mission. So we've switched these little catchphrases around. Exploration enables science, and science enables exploration. Because we look at LRO starting off at the Exploration Systems Mission Directorate, if I can remember the acronym properly. And it was to get the data we needed to reduce risk of sending humans to the lunar surface. It was an exploration mission. But now it's switched over to the Science Mission Directorate. It's in its second extended mission. And look at what we have learned. If you followed that mission in terms of the lunar science, what we have learned from that is quite amazing. And I see now I owe Rick Elphick an apology. So before he goes out and kicks me in the gonads, yeah, Laddie should be on there. Sorry, Rick. I would like to say that was deliberate, but it wasn't. We also have Resource Prospector. Resource Prospector is using the data from LRO and Lunar Prospector to go explore polar resources, polar volatiles. This is an exploration mission. But think of the science return on the exploration. That's why I encourage as many of you as possible to be present at the Resource Prospector Mission meeting this Friday, because this is important. I can't be there, but this is important because we have an opportunity to get a lot of good science, lunar science, back on these volatile deposits, as well as exploring the possibility of using these resources to fuel solar system exploration. So we can use the moon and cislunar space as an enabling asset to go explore the solar system, and there are many advantages. We've got, Carly already mentioned, it's ease of access. It's pretty close. We can't get there yet, but we're working on it. We can use this as a risk reduction platform for going elsewhere. We can test radiation shielding technologies, reduce gravity, not microgravity, but reduced gravity effects on humans. We know microgravity and we know 1G, but we don't know the long-term effects of reduced gravity on the human physiology. And dust keeps to be coming up all the time. What about dust? Whether you visit Mars, asteroids, or the moon, dust is an issue. And then we have this long duration test bed, and we can learn to live off the land, off planet. So cislunar space, and this is something that Paul Sputis has championed with Tony Lavoie, and this is really interesting, using the resources on the moon to develop an infrastructure in cislunar space, staging posts, refueling depots, so on and so forth. It sounds very science fiction, but just think back to that cartoon. Sending humans to the moon in '69 was some stuff of science fiction, but we did it, despite what Fox News says. We did it. It can be done. It's getting dim in the memory now, 46 years. It's getting dim, but 46 years yesterday. But we did it. We can do it again. We just need the vision and the foresight and the coupling of exploration and science, as well as money, to do that. So I put this progressive exploration, and I refer back to the Lunar Exploration Roadmap that Lee developed. And everybody says, oh, you're talking about the moon. It's just the moon. It's the Lunar Exploration Roadmap. It's probably a bad term for it. But one of the three goals is feed forward to other destinations, using the moon to go elsewhere. We look at Mars' small body risk reduction value, and then the lunar platform value in each one of these. And in the three goals in this particular theme, we have, one that is identify and test technologies on the moon to enable robotic and human solar system science and exploration. Use the moon as a test bed for mission operations and exploration techniques to reduce risks and increase productivity of future missions to Mars and beyond, and then preparing for future missions to other airless bodies. This is part of the Lunar Exploration Roadmap, which means that we're not just going to go to the moon and get stuck there. We're going to the moon with a purpose, and that is to learn to go elsewhere. So the Lunar Exploration Roadmap enables human solar system exploration and science, because exploration data, as LRO has proven, equals science data. They're the same thing. Same instruments, same data sets, but we learn so much from them, not only in risk reduction, but in terms of science as well. So the advantages, there are many advantages that I can put up here, and we can champion many of these, and we can go through. And yes, I am very biased about the moon, but let's be realistic. If you want to have a long-term sustainable human spaceflight program, you need to have a very long-term progressive vision, and that is the moon is the first step. We can test many things, surface mobility. We can test power systems. We can test building capabilities, including radiation shielding, so on and so forth. Dust mitigation technologies. We've got all these planetary protection issues that we hear from Mars. We can test these mitigation strategies on the moon. So there are many things we can do in terms of exploration. But think of the science that would come out of that. I mean, put on your science hat, or science and exploration hat. Going to the moon for an extended period. Just think of the science. Not just, let's go look at some rocks and look at the environment that we live in, but what about medicine? What about other technologies? And we tried in the Lunar Exploration Roadmap, we tried to look at that of how we could use the moon to look at the physical sciences, to develop new physical science studies, so on and so forth. So we have an enabling asset in our own backyard. All right, we've got the advantages, we've got cislunar refueling and staging posts, we've got resources, we've got commercial space opportunities, and America could lead the world back to the moon. Political will sort of needed. So the message, moon is not the end game, it's the first step. It's the gateway. It enables so much more of exploration and science to occur by going to the moon, to go elsewhere in the solar system. So we've got an opportunity through ISEG to develop these international partnerships. We have lots of opportunities to stimulate commercial space, and we have lots of on-ramps that can involve commercial space, that could form these wonderful partnerships that would get us, well, not only the space station, but well beyond that, and beyond the moon, to Mars and beyond. But that's the long-term vision. So from scientific research, we know the moon has resources that could enable in-depth lunar and solar system exploration by humans. That's what science has showed us from the data sets that we have. So we've got to develop this long-term and international strategy to get humans into the solar system. And not just the moon, it's the multiple destinations. That's the gateway. It's the gateway that allows and enables so much more. So we learn from Apollo. No more flags and footprints. What's the long-term goal? Are we going to beat the Chinese to the moon? Well, some say we've already done it, so we don't have to go back. But if we want to go elsewhere, we shouldn't really ignore the moon. So we've got this architectural development for multiple destinations. We don't abandon assets. We reuse. We repurpose. We've got international and commercial partnerships. We've got to develop these early. Don't expect government to pay for it or taxpayers to pay for it. And we have target destinations and milestones, not dates. Dates are a way to set yourself up to fail. So, and again, the been there, done that is not negative. It's actually a major advantage. Because look at what we've learned from the moon that now enables us to go so much further for exploration, and with exploration we get so much more science. So with that, I'll take any questions. Thank you again, and it's a real honor to be here and a real honor to receive the Wargo Award. Thank you very much.
Please come to the microphone and ask questions of Clive. I'm sure there's some in the audience.
I didn't do my job, did I?
Okay, Adele. Do you want to come up here and speak? Yeah. We're recording this. It's good.
Yeah, Mike. Oh, Mike.
Oh, okay.
Adele's going first.
Yeah, all right.
You calling me Mike?
That was so fabulous. Thank you. So can you share with us who you think the interested parties are for international or commercial relationships?
International.
In your vision?
Well,
you've got a lot of
There was
partners.
one sitting in here. There he is. He's back
Okay.
there.
What about commercial partnerships?
Commercial partnerships. There's an interesting one. Where's Kurt Klaus? There he is. Kurt Klaus is from Boeing Corporation. He is now part of the League Executive Committee. And Kurt is, what we're trying to do is to establish a commercial advisory board for League. And I've asked Kurt to be the chair of that. We still have an executive committee meeting or telecon to discuss the nuts and bolts of what that's going to be, but Kurt and I have been talking about who are the interested parties. Bob Richards is one from Moon Express. He's been on our executive committee for quite a while, and he's very interested in developing the commercial taxi service and delivering payloads to the moon, whether it be orbit, surface, and Doug Curry has already signed a MOU, I believe, with Moon Express to deliver the next generation of laser retroreflector to the lunar surface. So we are exploring. There are Google has stimulated a number of different companies. Astrobotic is another one, and there Lockheed, SpaceX, so on and so forth. These are all people that are out there that are commercial, but we need to make those connections, not only with between agencies, but with the community. And that's what the Commercial Advisory Board to League is we're hoping that will do. So in terms of international, you go to the ISEC, the International Space Exploration Coordination Group. You have agencies there. I would like to say all of them want to go to the moon, and I think all of them do want to go to the moon, but one can't say that. But right now, I think the moon is the focus for JAXA and ESA and Russia, certainly China. So can I say China? So the interest is there. So, hey Larry.
Hey, Clive.
You see what you did?
Yeah, that's too many planes to do that. Fantastic talk. I mean, it was great. It was a sort of a loose cannon talk and stuff like that, but it was exactly.
I learned from the best, man.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But as a member of the choir, I say that nicely. And I think it was fantastic, but where do we go from here politically? I mean, who do you give that talk to? If you gave that talk to the right people, I mean, that's the kind of talk that will stir people up. Now, who do we do it to? You and Paul, and Sputis is another one. He gives good talks like this. They're just really great, but we're not getting there. What should we do to get there?
Can I go back on this? This is not working. Who do we give it to? It's a very good point, and there we go. Now we got it. Politics is not my forte, but all right, I'm just going to say it. We need to get a little bit more proactive as a community in terms of where'd it go? Oh, it's gone too far. That's what it is. We need to get a little bit more proactive, and although League itself cannot do advocacy, because that's a no-no, because while up until last year we were still part of the NASA advisory structure. That may have changed. The lawyers are still trying to figure that one out. But a couple of things that we produced are these. One is this trifold, and the other one is the other bigger glossy that we did to promote the roadmap. The roadmap, as I say, is pretty inclusive, and if you read it, it's a great cure for insomnia. So we try to sex it up a little bit, but we're now coming up to a presidential election. It takes 2 years to have an election, but that's America. The thing is we need to contact the people who are running for president, to show them the possibilities. Don't just wait for the scraps to fall off the table. We've got to get out there and do something. Got to write to your congressperson. Got to go in and see them. Got to talk to them. It's going to take effort. And by promoting the roadmap, we now have these glossies available for the community. You can look at the roadmap on the website. You can criticize the roadmap. You can edit the roadmap. You can just let us know your thoughts. We have regular roadmapping meetings. We also can, by promoting those things to Congress and one visit doesn't do it. One letter doesn't do it. Emails A letter is better. Snail mail is better. It takes longer, but more effort has to be put in, and it's actually taken a little bit more seriously. Email's too easy. So we have to be proactive in doing that. Who do we give it to? Anybody that will listen, and maybe some people that won't, but that's fine. That's just the way it goes. But we have to be active. League can't be active. I can as a citizen. I can say that now. So we have to get off our duffs and do something about it, but it's up to us.
Tim Glotch, Stony Brook University. Larry asked what I was going to ask, so I'll just add my congratulations, and I'll also just reiterate what you said. I think we as a community have to be proactive. We can't just sit by and hope good things will happen. Call your congresspeople, call your senators, talk to your representatives, talk to their staff members on the phone. I've had great conversations with my representative's staff members, and he's not a particularly pro-science congressman, but if you get the ear of one person that is in the office, it can help. So if you want to do something, and individual PowerPoint slides can help, but I mean it can't be just Clive up there giving that talk. We all have to give our version of that talk to our people.
Yeah, they all think I'm from New Jersey in Congress.
I do think we need to do a lot with the moon. Oh, I'm Jim Brown, retired. I do think we need to do a lot with the moon, but often said we need to go to the moon to refuel, but actually it takes the same delta V to get to Mars and land, if you got a heat shield, as it takes to go just into the lunar orbit, never mind to land. It takes a lot more fuel to land. So refueling, unless you've got the lunar L1 cable or elevator, it's not going to buy you anything to refuel on the way to anything this side of Jupiter. But yes, we do need to do the moon.
Yeah, we need to
there
do
are
the
a lot
moon, and you say, there are. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
If it was easy, but there are other people that want to do it.
It's interesting that the Lewis and Clark expedition came back and said it'll take over 1,000 years to explore the American West. And if it was just done by teams like that, it would have. Mm-hmm. But 75 years later, they were saying the American West is fully explored because private citizens, businesses, prospectors did 99% of the exploration. And I think that it needs to be more than just government.
I agree, absolutely, and that's what we're trying to promote, is to get the private sector involved, to have the international partnerships. That's the only way you're going to do it. Apollo was great, but we can't afford it. So.
One of the biggest things to help that is if we implement largely using the resources on the moon, if we implemented the solar power satellite to supply most of the mass, then
there are many
other projects.
Many innovations, and that's why, we do need engineers.
Great, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's all thank Clive again. And